You're looking for some tips about buying your first home. Well, you've come to the right place because that's what we're talking about today, and we're starting right now. Buying your first home is a big deal. There are some pitfalls to be aware of, and today we're going to talk about 9 of them, so stay tuned. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to go over 9 things you should be aware of when buying your first home. My name is Harry Moore and I'm a veteran full-time real estate agent here in the DC metro area. I post new videos every week about real estate and other fun stuff. If you want to keep up with what's going on, don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell so you'll be notified whenever new videos come out. Today's video is all about first-time homebuyers. First-time homebuyers get pulled in all sorts of different directions by parents, neighbors, friends, siblings, and others during the home buying process. There's a lot of noise out there, so I thought it'd be helpful if I shared 9 mistakes that first-time homebuyers are making so that you can avoid them. Pro tip: stick around to the end to learn how you can get a free copy of my 23-page home buying guide. It's chock full of great information that'll help you navigate the home buying process successfully. So let's dive right in. The first mistake, and one of the biggest, is that many first-time homebuyers are going out and looking at properties without being financially qualified. This one is so important, and yet so many buyers don't do it. Would you walk into a store without knowing how much you could afford to spend? If you don't know your buying power, you could be setting yourself up to fail. I suggest that you talk to a local lender beforehand and get pre-approved. It takes a little bit of work to get your documents together, but it's not that hard for most people to do. Why is this important? Why do real estate agents tell you to do this? Well, you don't really know what you can afford until a lender tells you what you can afford. There are websites galore out there with mortgage calculators that'll give you a number, but until you've actually submitted documentation and had your credit pulled, you really don't know whether it's real or not. You may think you can afford a $600,000 house in your favorite neighborhood, when in reality you can only afford a $400,000 house 30 minutes away. So do your financial due diligence first. I know you want to hit the pavement. I know it's exciting to want to go through and tour properties and you've got your checklist, but the first thing before we even get to your checklist of what you want in your house is to get financially qualified by a local lender. Number 2 is looking for a unicorn. That checklist I mentioned, the one that has everything you want on it. I hope that you wrote that in pencil and not in pen, because you'll have to make some adjustments. That first home with all the bells and whistles you want, that's walkable to all your favorite restaurants and shops, that house may not exist. Or if it does, guess what? It's probably out of your budget. So be prepared to make some adjustments. Your house should meet about 75 to 80% of your criteria. Remember, you're not living on HGTV. Mistake number 3 is using the listing agent to represent you. Let's say you go to an open house, you love it, and you want to write an offer. You talk to the listing agent and they say they can represent you. They know the house, they know the seller, it's going to be an easy transaction, right? Wrong. The listing agent has a fiduciary duty to their client, who happens to be the seller. How can they represent both sides equally? They can't. You may think that the listing agent will cut their commission, let's say 1%, to help smooth out the transaction. Well, what if the house is overpriced by 5%? Are you really saving money? This is the largest financial transaction up to this point in your life. You want somebody in your corner, somebody who's got your back. Mistake number 4 is giving too much weight to the home's online value. I have been in thousands of houses and open houses and met hundreds of buyers, sellers, and other agents, but I've never met someone from Zillow going to look at the inside of a house. How can you accurately determine a property's value if you've never been inside the house? I don't really think you can. If you dig deep down on Zillow's site, they talk about their margin of error, and sometimes it's pretty big. They base their numbers on tax records for square footage and other basic information. And it's a place to start, but I don't really think that it's the final word. Did you know that Zillow's former CEO sold his house for 40% less than the Zillow estimate in 2016? That's a pretty big spread. Mistake number 5 is expecting your house to always increase in value. The reality is, after you buy your house, it might not increase in value. In fact, it may even decrease in value depending on your market. I'm going to tell you about the first house that I ever bought. It was on the far reaches of Capitol Hill. I paid a whopping $185,000 for it, which was at the top of my price range back then. It may sound cheap now, but remember, interest rates were almost 12%, so the cost of money was much higher. In 3 years, the value dropped to $135,000, so almost a 30% decrease. By the time I sold it, after 10 years of ownership, it had clawed its way back up to $173,000. So I lost money, $12,000. Not the haircut I would have had taken, but it still hurt. Now, if I'd held on longer, I could have made a bunch of money. But I moved on with my life and made some other smart real estate decisions that more than compensated for it. Buying a house is partly a financial decision, but it's also a quality of life choice. And you have to figure out what's the best blend of the two that works for you. If your plan is to buy your first home, live in it for 7 years, have your first kid, get pregnant with your second, and then sell that house, take the increase in value of 10% and get a bigger house, well, that plan may work out. But what if the market goes down? If your goal is to jump into the market at the exact right time, then sell and jump out at the exact right time to time the market, you may not win. That's like trying to time the stock market, and most people can't do that. Mistake number 6 is underestimating your expenses. Things like utilities and unexpected repairs can eat up a lot more money than you may have initially thought. The general rule of thumb is to budget about 1% of the purchase price for yearly maintenance, repairs, major yard work, other stuff like that. This can vary depending on the age of the major systems, but that's a good starting point. There are a lot of costs involved in maintenance and repairs, and while you can't know all of them, what you do need to know is that you need a budget account and to save for those eventual costs. You've heard the expression, winter is coming? Well, after you buy a house, repairs are coming, and you should expect the unexpected. Mistake number 7 is feeling rushed. Now, this one's a tough one. Let me tell you what I mean. Don't let anyone ever tell you or try to force you to make a decision or to force you to put in an offer before you're ready. If you're unsure about it, well, then it may be a mistake. There'll be more houses. Now, with that being said, if you're in a market like we've been in for quite a number of years where things move fast and you're consistently seeing that the good properties get taken off the market within the first week or so, then you need to prepare accordingly. Take some time, learn about the market, and once you're ready and you know the market and you feel like you're in a position that you can put in an offer comfortably, do it quickly and aggressively. Educate yourself, learn about the market so that when the time is right, you're ready to move. The 8th mistake that first-time home buyers make is falling in love with the house. We talked about this earlier. It's going to be very rare that the house that you buy will immediately meet all your needs now and in the future. If it does, good for you. You're one of the fortunate few. But if you're like the rest of us, keep that 75 to 80% rule in mind. Find a house that you really like, but maybe it needs a little tweaking to be a house that you'll love. Remember that another house will come on the market, maybe just around the corner. It'll have some better features, it'll have some worse ones. It'll be a house that you might like too. Number 9 is something that might surprise you. The fallacy that renting is always throwing money away. I'm a huge believer in the importance of owning a home for many people, but there are people out there that are buying houses for the wrong reasons, to make their parents happy, to impress their siblings, because they think it's a surefire way to make money quick. You need to figure out your why. Why are you buying? If you move around every 2 years, you should be renting. But if you have roots in the community and you see yourself being there for 5, 7, or more years, then you should think about buying. Once you figure out why you're doing what you're doing, then you can move forward with confidence, whether that's purchasing or if you decide to rent for a few more years. If you look at people who are of retirement age, for many of them, much of their nest egg is made up of the equity in their house. Real estate can be a good investment vehicle over the long term. You just want to make sure that you're buying for the right reasons and that you're doing it with a realistic time frame in mind. Well, there you go. 9 mistakes you should avoid as a first-time home buyer. If you'd like access to my 23-page home buyer's guide, then click Click on the link below and grab your very own copy. It's full of great information designed to help you make good decisions throughout the home buying process. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. If you liked what you saw, please tap that like button and please put any comments or questions you might have in the remarks below. If you know someone, maybe a friend or neighbor, who might benefit from this information, please share this video with them. And last but not least, if you want to see more videos about real estate in the DMV, then subscribe and ring that bell so you'll be updated whenever new videos come out. Have a great day, and I'll see you again soon.